Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Meghan Hicks after her women-supported FKT of Nolan's 14. How are you, Meghan?
Good, Brian. How are you?
All right. We're back here in beautiful Silverton, Colorado after your great effort this past weekend.
Yeah, it snowed today.
It did snow today.
Or it is snowing today.
Well, let's start there with the weather. One of the Nolan's 14 is a multi-day effort. So far, still for the women, over 2 days. You did it in 50 and a half hours and change. But hitting the weather window is really crucial because for much of the early summer, there's still lots of snow on the ground, making the route very slow or impossible. Then you have the monsoon season through July and August, and then snow comes. And there's also the heat of the summer, and this summer a lot of wildfire smoke. So how did you set up, and how did you choose when you went for it this time?
Yeah, I guess I was just looking to thread the needle between all of the factors that you just talked about. I think most people who attempt Nolan's kind of go for trying to hit early in the season if that's possible, sort of before the heavy monsoon season and the heavy electricity season sets in, or they wait for sort of that window between when monsoon season starts to abate and when some of these first big storms set in. So for me, I was never going to be ready to traipse around some mountains early season. I needed most of the summer to prepare my body. So for me, it was taking that later window and just trying to thread it.
Yeah. And did you set like a particular range of dates, like a weather window sort of? How did that work?
Well, originally I thought I would aim for sometime in late August, and that's because there's usually a week or so where the monsoons just sort of abate for a little while before they come on strong to finish off again. So I thought I'd aim for that, but in the end it just worked out like logistics wise otherwise to wait for the early September end of monsoon window. And
you actually ended up moving up your start date a day late in the process.
Yeah, so I guess I originally chose Friday, September 4th as the start of my window. And I picked that because it was when monsoons usually start calming down, after I thought I had enough taper time, or enough prep and taper time, when crew people could be around to support me. And yeah, the weather window opened up Tuesday, Tuesday, I guess 3 days before, and so we went for it on Thursday morning.
And you ended up pretty much having a perfect weather window.
It could not have been more perfect. Yeah, honestly, with every potential, climate factor, it was a few degrees warmer than normal for the first week of September, but honestly, I would trade that for any other factor that could have been there. It couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah, and you started just after wildfire smoke cleared out.
Yeah.
And then quite literally just over a day later, huge wildfire smoke influx.
Yeah, and I really have to credit meteorologist and runner Chris Tomer, who really helped me pinpoint the couple day window where it was going to be between these cold fronts bringing snow. It was where there was going to be enough. I don't really know what the factors were to keep the wildfire smoke away from the Sawatch, but yeah, all the climactic stars really aligned.
Yeah, and so did your effort this weekend.
Thanks.
You previously you'd set the women-supported FKT 4 years ago, just almost exactly to the same dates.
Yeah.
We're the first to go under 60 hours from trail to trailhead, 59:35, and you ran just over 9 hours faster, 50:32. I can't remember exactly. And did you think that was possible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you wouldn't say publicly.
Yeah, I mean, I would never say those numbers out loud. Maybe not even to you.
Nope.
But I know what it takes for women to walk up and down those mountains. I know what it takes for women to walk up and down a string of those mountains. I knew it was absolutely possible. It was just a matter of having enough things not go wrong to some woman who was prepared for it, and I think somebody believing in that being possible. So yeah, for sure.
There's so many things I want to unpack there. One is I've really been thinking about this in terms of you. How large a part does confidence play a part in that? And something like as big as a Nolan's attempt.
I think, at least, I mean, the role of confidence is probably variable for different women, but I think for me it's like a balance of confidence. I've caught myself being too confident about something before, and like maybe relying too heavily on, like one very short bout of training and thinking that represents, a greater sphere of fitness than it does, like kind of the recency bias confidence thing. And then I've been caught by underconfidence before, where just not believing I was capable of something that I was. So for me, I think personally it's just finding a balance. And
that's how much of that is based on familiarity, and what other factors play into that?
I don't know if I have a good answer to that question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know I'm quite familiar with Nolan's at this point, but I do think like, so in between my two successful attempts, I had a failed attempt, and I think I was slightly overconfident going into that experience. I sort of thought that I could tame the mountains and tame the conditions and go out in whatever I would find, and I found that to be really like the opposite. So I don't know. I think that's a really hard question.
And you mentioned taming the mountains and taming the environment. It seems like this time you didn't try to do that at all. Yeah,
that was the biggest takeaway from my 2017 failure on the Nolan's course, is that Mother Nature is really in charge of all things, I mean, she can tumble a rock down and really change your day. She can blow a pretty gnarly wind that makes it really difficult to be up there for so long. Yeah, it's up in the high country, up where you're really exposed and there's very little cover. You're not in charge. You're never in charge.
Now, how much is it, you're not in charge, but how large a role did it play being prepared and mitigating what you did face out there?
I think that's it. I mean, that's a huge part of it. I think in terms of preparation and organization and picking the right weather window, we did everything we could to mitigate all of the potential like risk factors and factors that would make it not a successful day. But I do think just going in with a mind open to the fact that you ain't the boss really helps me anyway.
Now, obviously there's not going to be it's 2+ days. There's not going to be perfection throughout, and there's going to be unexpected things that happen. What was kind of the largest challenge that happened out there?
Again, it was nutrition. In my first successful Nolan's attempt, I lost my stomach and being able to eat solid foods about a day and a half in. This time I started to lose that only about a half a day in. So I had about the same amount of time where I was relying largely, almost exclusively on liquid calories. This time I was better prepared for that, and I had lots of different liquid nutrition at hand and was able to keep getting in calories. I missed some of the volume, probably was not getting 200 calories an hour just because it's hard to take in that liquid and hard to carry it around over so much vertical and so much time out. But it was a challenge.
But you had a way to mitigate it. You had a plan. And followed that.
Yeah, I mean, I had, 6 or 8 different flavors of liquid calories and different types of things to drink, and that kept things, kept the palate happy, about as happy as it could be, and kept my energy pretty good. I mean, there were ups and downs, but overall the energy was much better this time.
So this was kind of been a summer of women on the Nolan's 14 course. up until the start of the summer, I believe you still had the FKT at 59:35, and 3 other women broke that in sequence.
Yeah, like bam, 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 from early July through mid-August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were kind of aware and excited about all these strong women running Nolan's this summer. And there were others that were thinking about it, so can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I certainly consider this the summer of the women on Nolan's in terms of the sheer quantity of women being out there wrecking the line and making attempts and then having success on the line. I mean, the numbers show that themselves just in how far the women's record has come down over just a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
9 hours.
And like more than double the number of women have finished.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, so it's been I feel that situation has been building, and it's time for women to sort of come into their own on the Nolan's course. And yeah, I couldn't be happier to see the women who have been interested in the line, and even those who have tried and have decided or have recce'd and decided that this isn't the year, that it's going to be in future years, or the women who have tried but haven't made it to a finish yet. Like it's exciting times. It's really fun to watch and be a part of.
Now, even at the beginning of the summer, before anybody attempted it, like you were training with some of these other women, you were talking to them, you were helping them out. What was the reason behind that? I mean, you were kind of sitting there on top. What was the thought?
It's just time for there to be more women doing things on big mountains. For me, I mean, there's definitely the intrinsic motivators of being out in a mountain range that I really love, and just the puzzle pieces of doing Nolan's. There's definite personal enjoyment out of that. But yeah, they're the making space and keeping the conversation going about women out there and encouraging women to encourage each other. It's just time. It's way past time. And whatever I can do, and whatever any little seed of motivation that I can plant for a woman to, doesn't have to be Nolan's. I mean, for me it's Nolan's, but any little seed that what each of us does to plant in another woman, to get out there, and the seeds that we can plant in our culture and our community that just make space and make conversation for women, I'm for it. So yeah, I mean, bring it on.
You mentioned it's not just about Nolan's, like other big mountain pursuits you'd be excited to see some women trying out. Are there any that are on your radar other than Nolan's 14?
Definitely.
And,
well, a project that I worked on in the past and didn't reach success on was the Utah 13ers, like linking all of those up in a single trip. I failed at that a couple of times, so that's something I'd like to go back to. I mean, I was really intrigued with what Sarah Keys and Sarah Keys and I'm feeling really bad that I'm not going to get this right. What the two women were doing with tagging peaks over different routes and kind of challenge each other out in the Adirondacks. Like, that was really awesome. For instance, I love to see what's going on the Wonderland Trail and the Colorado Trail this year in terms of what women are doing. The John Muir Trail has always been something that's on my personal interest list. The list could go on forever.
You saying JMT, or it makes me think like also High Sierra route.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you have now tried Nolan's 3 times. How has your motivation evolved over those 3 attempts?
I like things that are puzzles. Things that involve like putting yourself together physically, mentally, and like, I don't know if it's like spiritually or I don't know exactly the right way to put that, but like just
mindset.
I like things that require you having to be very dynamic and working with constantly changing puzzle pieces. So Nolan's is a really easy. It fits that bid pretty easily. It's close by to where we live, and this being like the summer of COVID, like it was easy to sort of hone in on that and not think about going to something in another state. There's tons of factors. Everybody has something.
But in terms of performance or goals, or what drew you out there specifically in each of those cases?
To Nolan's?
Yeah,
I mean, it's fun to see if you can get better at something.
Yeah.
It's fun to learn something a little bit more. It's fun to also, like, from year to year kind of forget and have to relearn a little bit, or like be reminded of something that, I forgot about that. Or
what percent of the course had you not been on earlier this year? Or course, but
I think all but one mountain.
Huron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see Huron before we started. Or all of Huron.
Yeah. So, you were talking about getting the details right and planning it out in the puzzle pieces. People have definitely said you presented as a master out there, like, and this was your masterwork, like in terms of execution and on.
That's really nice of people.
over a couple days, and like that. Just watching a lot of races and a lot of performances throughout the world, a lot of people go out strong and then kind of fade into the finish or hang on, and it doesn't appear that that's what you did.
Yeah, I really wanted to feel strong in the last day, in the last mountains. I thought there was a lot of time that could be made up or passed really quickly there. So my goal was to do the first 24 hours really easy.
Did you succeed in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I needed to go a little bit slower than I hoped during the afternoon of the first day, and as well the afternoon of the second day. It was quite hot, and I could feel the effects of that, and just knew I needed to be really careful. So I went on my planned pace for the first 24 hours, with the exception of a little bit during the heat of the afternoon on the first day. I was like, needed to cool it off even a little bit more.
And on the opposite side, it seemed like you made some really strong progress time-wise in like the overnight, early morning hours. Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, I was actually really happy it turned out like that. I don't always feel strong in the nighttime. I don't love not sleeping. But yeah, I felt pretty good in both of the nights. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And was it, I mean, aside from not maybe getting so sleepy, did the lack of heat or help
Totally.
out?
Yeah.
The nights weren't cold either, were they?
No, I think I only put my jacket on for short periods of one mountain on the first night and one mountain on the second night.
Like a wind jacket? Like,
I was using a rain jacket just because
but
it's
not like a puffy jacket or something.
Yeah,
like
no. I think for most of the mountains I wore like too thin wool shirts and gloves and a buff and very thin tights. Yeah, it's crazy.
What did go wrong out there?
Yeah, I mean, my nutrition wasn't ideal. I made a couple small navigation errors, things that probably over the course of the whole 2 days added up to maybe 30 minutes total. But I don't know. It's really hard to ding that because there were other places where the navigation went smoother than expected, or I went faster than expected because of just getting it just right. So honestly, like those little dings, it's really hard to call them misses because it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, there's variability in there, and they just happen somewhere.
Yeah,
like you can't.
I did not have ideal downhill runs on maybe it was the last 3 or 4 mountains. Maybe Huron and La Plata, I think I could have run pretty well, but I chose not to because I was afraid I was losing my downhill legs and didn't want to. And then the last 2 mountains are off-trail mountains, and it just requires a lot of eccentric contraction, and my legs were tired for the actual, sort of tundra downhill running. So I think I could have, could have made up some time with slightly stronger downhill legs.
Now, to call into question your small navigational errors, there was an apocryphal little story from one of your pacers that on Mount Yale, they went around one side of like a rock, and you went around the other side, and you're like, I effed it up, with more colorful language. I effed it up, and they're like, like we got to the same point at the same time.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So maybe you're a little particular on your lines, or what you consider a perfect threading the route.
I have been called very detailed oriented before.
How many pages were your crew packets?
Embarrassingly many.
Embarrassingly many.
Yeah.
Now that's planning it out. Like, what was a pleasant surprise or two during Nolan's?
A lot of wildlife.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots of great wildlife. All 3 sunrises were off the hook. 2 moonrises, but I have to say is it the first nights? Yeah, both moonrises were awesome. I think the first nights was like really blood red. There must have been a little bit of smoke in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal. Yeah, I mean, nature always surprises, but there were just lots of just lovely things to watch.
Anything from the human side of things?
I think everything went well human-wise. Our crew was amazing. Yeah, I think there were 7 or 8 crew and pacers put together, and all of you were incredible. It was super fun, super easy to be around, and I could not have done what I did without all of you.
What was the wildlife? You mentioned some of that stood out.
Yeah, let's see. This summer, 3 times I've seen 3 ptarmigan near the summit of Mount Oxford. And this weekend was the 3rd time, so that was fun. The day before we attempted, saw a snowshoe hare, which I don't know, I just think rabbits are good luck, and yeah, it was like a good wish. Mountain goats in the dark on the summit of Mount Massive, the final mountain. Elk in the forest coming off of Mount Yale. Lots and lots of deer, including the same deer that I saw wrecking as I did during attempting climbing out of Pine Creek towards Mount Oxford, like the same mom and her baby, and the same female deer looking down at me from a ridgeline. It's just such a particular spot. It had to be the same ones. I had lost my chapstick while wrecking and found it.
Leave no trace. Come on.
Vince, my pacer for Mount Harvard, and I saw an animal near the Mount Harvard summit. We don't know what it was, but it was 4-legged with a long tail, and it moved so fast.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, the only thing it could be is a mountain lion or a fox. Yeah, so one or the other.
You mentioned you don't like lack of sleep. Did you ever have to really battle the sleep monster out there?
Only briefly going up on the old mining road, the first part of Mount Massive, Mount 13. Is that right? Mountain 13? Yeah.
Mount Elbert.
Mount Elbert, Mountain 13. You're kind of on this old mining track for an hour and a half or something. It's mindless. It's warm. It's the middle of the 2nd night, and I was sleepy.
Yeah. I can't imagine, but you went through 2+ days, and your feet held up well.
Yeah, they did.
How does that, tell me the secret for you.
Yeah, I had one little blister on the inside of my right big toe. They were tired, they were sore. All of the extensor and flexor tendons you could feel were kind of at their max on the last downhill. It was kind of like really hard to like plant my feet on the ground while trying to run. Yeah, I don't have any great secrets. I mean, I know it comes down to like your nutrition and your hydration being good. You know, having shoes that your toes aren't banging into, so I had good sized shoes. I wear the Injinji compression knee highs, and they've yielded success for me for years in terms of like keeping toe blisters and, you know, allowing you to have some movement in your shoes, but not a lot.
But you didn't, you changed your shoes and socks a couple times, but not every sort of crew point?
I think I tried to do it every half of a day. Is that right? Or 3/4 of a day? I think I changed them 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went out there and ran 50:33.
Yeah.
Do you think you could go faster?
Yes.
Do you think you want to try to go faster?
I don't know.
But you're not saying no.
I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no. For me, this was the perfect summer. We usually travel about 7 times between the beginning of the year and now, which take us to places around the world for a week to cover races, and you know, we're on long haul flights and we don't sleep and we don't run with any quality. So I had those 7 weeks to train normally, you know, without any break. I've been at high altitude since March this year, courtesy of the pandemic. Didn't have to go to low altitude. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that in my regular life setup I could be set up any more perfectly than it was this year. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to like dream and to believe in what you might be capable of, but I honestly feel like I had so many stars align, like big picture, little picture on the day in training, that how can you replicate that? Yeah. So this may be as good of an opportunity as I could have optimized and utilized. But
do you see opportunities, like concrete opportunities for where you could improve?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I could get my nutrition right, if I could run the last 4 downhills as well as I ran the first 4 downhills, walk around the right side of the rock instead of the left side of the rock. I don't know. I mean, but again, like so many things went right. So
does it feel like a paradigm shifting summer in terms of women at Nolan's? I mean,
I hope so.
I mean, what was it? Just back in 2017 when Iker Carrera first brought the men's record under 50 hours.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, we've always known that Nolan's can go so much faster than it has, but it's just not one of those things you can just be a fit athlete and knock off like you can a trail. You have to have route knowledge. You have to have altitude acclimation. Getting the weather window right and the conditions, you know, not having a ton of snow underfoot and not having to wait out a storm. Like, there's just so many things to get right.
So even one of the, I mean, on the men's side, let's say, you know, Killian or Francois, like if they showed up, they might be able to set a new record, but it'd be possible, but it wouldn't be near their potential.
It would be really fun to watch, but Joey Campanelli, he was, you know, he's an incredible mountain athlete who prepared himself specifically for this, knows the route by the back of his hand. I mean, it's just sort of, the men's record is going to go lower than that for sure, but it's going to take somebody with really special talent and really especially honed to this to do it.
And how about on the women's side?
Same thing. Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, I mean, put even some of the same women who've been out there this summer, you know, give them another year of wrecking, and who knows if they want to. Let's hope that they want to. But yeah, the women's record is going down below 2 days this year or next year. Done.
Yeah.
Done. I mean, done. And it's going to go further too, I believe it.
Do you feel good about being a part of that and seeing what's possible out there?
Yeah, I mean, I know I know that there are women who are going to take it a lot further than I could ever take it, but just playing a small part in getting women excited about it and getting them out there and experiencing it, like whatever little part I can do to like put the bug in people's ears, I feel really happy about.
Now, on the flip side of that, how does one insurer help to ensure that, you know, the Nolan's 14 line or area or whatever you want to say is sort of well maintained or preserved or cared for?
Thank you for asking that question. Yeah, I mean, the use of Colorado 14ers is going up. The use of the Nolan's line is going up. I think that's just the natural progress of things out here. But in my mind, it's not about stopping people from going out there or trying to minimize the number of people going out there. It's encouraging people to go out there and to develop care for being there, because when you care about it, you take care of it, and you travel ethically, and you teach others who go with them to travel. Yeah.
What are some of those highlights in traveling ethically, kind of on those Nolan 14 areas?
Yeah, I mean, there's some places where you can go pretty fast going downhill, but you knock a lot of things down with you, and it's probably not a good idea in the long run for a lot of people to be out there doing that, just because it doesn't take much to create erosion problem. Going in small groups and dispersing your travel, packing out your toilet paper.
So dispersing that travel, can you be more specific with that?
Yeah, I mean, we as trail runners were really used to like traveling right in front of and right behind each other. But Leave No Trace, the nonprofit that sort of creates recommendations for sustainable and ethical wild travel, they really ask people who are traveling off trail to disperse your traffic, to not walk in front of each other. And I think the Colorado 14ers initiative started using this piece of education a couple summers ago, saying that for some tundra plants it only takes 5 footsteps for them to die. And
so it's particularly important. It's a good principle to have anywhere off trail, but especially in the alpine environment, in that moss and those tundra plants.
Alpine environments and like wet, boggy, you know, sort of the little bog things you come across here and there.
Yeah. So spread out. It's spread wide, not just follow in a line.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
That's it.
I guess that's it.
Great.
But is there? I guess not. What else would you want to share about your experience these past few days?
Gratitude. Yeah. I mean, I think that it just comes down to a feeling of gratitude. It's just so cool. Like being out there basically on your own, or mostly on your own, for a couple days, traveling through pretty wild country, not seeing hardly anybody, having sort of all of the factors of nature like seemingly on your side. You know, there's sometimes when you're out and about, you just kind of feel like the natural elements are stacked up a little bit, and to have them unstacked and sort of just open for you feel so grateful for that. And we had such a fun crew of people, friends out there crewing and pacing. There was a lot of laughter. I didn't talk on all the mountains because I was feeling a little ill here and there, but even if I wasn't talking, I was having a ton of fun just like listening to friends and being with friends. Yeah. I think just gratitude.
Congratulations, Megan.
Oh, thank you.
And a bonus question for you.
Oh, I still want to do a bonus question.
Oh, we do. What was your favorite piece of type of candy out on the trail? Did you have any? I don't think you had much in your own supplies, but there were some out there.
Yeah, my pacer Esther, who paced me for Huron and La Plata, was carrying a bag of Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, and some sort of sour gummy worm.
Yeah.
And you know, during the time she was with me, it was the heat of the second day. I was drinking my calories. I really wanted to try to get some more calories in, and her bag of food was wonderful because you could just stick those things up into your gums and they'd dissolve. And I mean, at that point, you feel the energy, converted as it's dissolving in your mouth and you feel it. And it tasted great, it felt great, and I loved it.
So like gummy food melange.
A gummy food melange. Yeah. We're like really sunk into elderlyhood, I think.